Okay, I guess an apology is in order for having such an inoffensive title. But let's not stray away from the topic of this video. As an accountant, this is my guide to being frugal. Although using the word frugal can be distasteful to some, being frugal is actually someone who is careful in spending money or using resources. Dictionary.com defines the word frugal as being, and I quote, economical in use or expenditure, prudently saving or sparing, not wasteful. With that in mind, here are 6 items which you can scrimp on whilst on your journey to financial freedom. Number 1. Books. So I do a lot of reading. I'm not really one for fantasy fiction or a romantic novel, but I read a lot on finance and business. However, I do not buy books and believe in today's times, buying books is unnecessary. According to Statista, the UK is home to over 4.1 thousand public libraries and 950 academic libraries, including the British Library, one of the largest in the world, with collection holdings exceeding 150 million items. Now, that is a lot of books, which you can borrow for free, read to your heart's content, and then return it. Oh, as a bonus, it also keeps your home clutter-free. Number 2. Bottled water. Now, this one is very personal to me as I live in Scotland, which from my opinion has the best tap water in the world. So bottled water, or even the purchase of bottled water in the UK is beyond my understanding. And I'm not alone. According to discoverwater.co.uk, British tap water is said to be one of the best water supplies in the world, with a quality rating of 99.96. Furthermore, according to brita.co.uk, it's a common misconception that bottled water is safer than tap water. While this may be the case in other countries, UK tap water undergoes daily checks, whereas bottled water is only tested once a month. This makes tap water more regulated. As well as this, opting for tap water instead of bottled water is also kinder for the environment and your wallet. Number 3. Latest technology. This is one I can definitely get to grips with. As a frugal individual, I will never buy the latest or greatest of anything. The reasons behind this are simple, I do not get the point. For example, I'm a huge fan of Apple and their products. I've used an iPhone 12 Pro as my daily handset for quite some time now. When introduced, it was the first iPhone to introduce 5G technology and an OLED display. A year later, Apple released its successor, the iPhone 13. And according to their own website, there wasn't any significant changes which I could see. Oh yeah, maybe it had 3 times optical zoom as opposed to 2 times, but it wasn't enough to convince me to stand in a long line on release day waiting for an upgrade. So, save your money and get the best you can for your needs, and never be in a rush to upgrade, unless there is a serious feature that you must require. Number 4. Lottery tickets. This is a funny one, but I still see it happen a lot, and for some strange reason, it's only those on a low income or belonging to an impoverished neighbourhood who seem to chance their luck the most. According to nationallottery.com, the odds of winning the UK National Lottery is approximately 1 in 45 million. Now, to put that into perspective, a highly humorous study was done by SaveTheStudent.org, which lists a number of things that are more likely to happen to you than to win the lottery. To quote some, you are more likely to be struck by lightning with a 1 in 1 million chance of this happening, or becoming an astronaut with a 1 in 12 million chance of this happening. And, this one I find hilarious, the odds of you being canonised, that's the official term for being made a saint by the Pope, are a massive 20 million to 1, which we can all agree is pretty unachievable unless you already behave like a saint and subscribe to this channel. But compare it to your odds of winning the lottery and you're still more than twice as likely to be made a saint as you are to bag the jackpot. Number 5. Brand new car. A brand new car is defined as one with 0 miles on the clock, shiny paintwork, and untouched interior. However, as you take the keys for your new wheels, and as soon as you drive this thing out of the showroom, something odd happens. your odometer goes from 0 to 1 mile. Alert, your new car is now a used car. Let's also talk about depreciation, which is a reduction in the value of an asset over time, usually due to wear and tear. Well, your shiny new car, which is now used after driving 1 mile up the road, is not secluded from this. According to motorway.co.uk, the average car depreciation will hit hardest in the first year of ownership. Generally, the drop will be around 15 to 35% in the first 12 months, and that will continue to rise up to 50% or more over the next 3 years. As you can see from the chart above, by the end of the first decade, a car will have effectively bottomed out in terms of value and depreciation. Therefore, it makes sense to cut the cost of depreciation and always buy a used car. There are some models on the market which are effectively new cars with only a few thousand miles on the clock, but are available at a fraction of the cost of a brand new one like for like. Number 6. Coffee. This is the last one I will talk about. I am a coffee drinker. I love the stuff just as much as the next person. Having spent most of my working career in an office environment, I have witnessed people spend a lot of money on getting their daily fix of caffeine, sometimes opting to buy a takeaway cup of coffee twice or even 3 times a day. When not in the office, I often see students in coffee houses wasting away their student loans on a hot cup of mud. But here's the math. According to freshground.co.uk, the average cup of coffee in the UK is £3.40, with speciality and flavoured coffees often being more expensive. Now say you were to take that £3.40 and invest it every day for your working life, which is around 36 years according to the European Commission. With an average interest rate of 5%, which is also compounding by the way, your initial £3.40 investment would have a future investment value of almost £125,000. Let that sink in for a moment. But you may be asking yourself, I'm not an investor. Is there anything I can do now? Of course. A 300g jar of Nescafe coffee costs around £6 in the UK. Nescafe advises that each mug requires 1 tablespoon or 1.8 grams of coffee. That means that this one £6 jar equates to approximately 166 mugs of coffee, which would be equivalent to £566 if you opted to order out at a coffee house. The way I see it is, you're saving £560 by drinking the same amount of coffee. So take the cheaper option and make it yourself. I wouldn't call these methods as being cheap, but being frugal. I would define frugality as saying no to spending enough times so that you can say yes when it actually matters. Just like hitting the subscribe button. And like always, thanks for watching.